If you've been confused about which die cutting machine to get, or you've seen 100 videos and still aren't sure, then you want to stay tuned. In this video, I'm walking you through the two machines that I actually use, one manual, one electric. I'll show you how they work, what I love about each one, and how I use them in my own craft room. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Jeannie Scott. Welcome to the Upper Craft Room, where we make a mess and we create something beautiful out of it. You've got dies and you've got cardstock, and zero idea which plate goes where. I can relate, and after 5 different machines, here are the 2 that worked best for me and earned a permanent spot in my craft space. I've been out of the craft room for about 7 years, and when I came back, my die machines were over a decade old. They still worked, but everything had changed and I needed to update my setup. So I started researching, and that's when I found the 2 tools that completely shifted how I die cut: the Gina K Intri-Cut manual die cutting machine and the Anna Griffin Empress Elite electric die cutting machine. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how they work, what they're good at, and the pressure settings I rely on, so you get smoother results without trial and error. If you've seen my 10 Essential Tools video, you already know die cutting is high on my list, but today I'm going deeper and breaking down the 2 machines that I actually use when I create. I'll link that video below because if you haven't seen it yet and you're just starting out in your craft space, I highly recommend this video. The Intri-Cut is a manual die cutting machine from Gina K Designs that uses a dual dial system instead of sandwich stacks. You've got 2 dials right on the side, one for mode and one for pressure. So instead of stacking plates or doing shim math, you just turn the dials and crank. It folds out with suction feet underneath to lock into place, and the sides include built-in storage compartments, which is where I keep things like my mint tape. The handle is removable, which is super helpful if you travel with your machine. It comes with the standard base plates, top plate, and cutting plate, and everything stores upright when you're done. On the right side of the Intri-Cut machine, there are 2 dials, like I said, one for pressure and one for mode. The pressure dial ranges from 5 loosest down to 0, and then continues into the negative numbers from -1 through -5 for the tightest settings. You'll adjust this based on how much force you want the machine to apply when cutting or embossing. The mode dial lets you select what kind of technique you're doing. It clicks into place as you turn it, and it includes 3D embossing, 2D embossing, letterpress for BetterPress users, and die cutting. You'll hear it or feel each click as the dial shifts, though you won't hear it in this voiceover. For die cutting, I usually keep it in 2D or letterpress mode and adjust the pressure from there. But that's just what works for me. Every machine is calibrated a little differently, so you'll want to test yours and find your ideal settings. The crank handle is removable and stores inside either side compartment of the fold-out platform. You just pop off the handle. It's very easy. You just click the button and it just pops right off. And then you want to open up the base and then open up a side compartment and pop the handle inside. It fits neatly inside the compartment. I keep my mint tape tucked in there too for quick and easy access. And when you're ready to pop that handle back on, you just push down on that little clip there, and then it just pops back on very easily, and you're ready to start cranking. Notice how tightly the machine is gripped to the surface. You'll also notice there are built-in suction grips underneath. When the sides are folded up, the machine is very easy to move, as I'm going to show you here. But once you fold them out and press them into place, the base grips down and stays put on your desk, even on my slick glass surface. I'm starting with the thin dies, and I've got the machine set to the letterpress/2D mode. They both work the same, and the pressure is set right at 0. I'm using the gentle Geraniums die from Gina K Designs along with the 2 sentiment dies, and I've got them taped down with mint tape, and I've angled them just slightly on the plate. That usually helps get cleaner cuts, especially if you're doing more than one die at a time. Now I've just cranked it through one time, and that's all it took. Everything cut out clean, no shims and no stacking. I didn't have to guess which plate combos to use. And look at how beautiful that cut out. Now for the 3D embossing folder. This one's from Gina K Designs, and it's the Contemporary Floral 3D embossing folder. So it's one of the thick ones, which means I need to adjust the settings again. I'm flipping the mode dial to 3D and dropping the pressure way down. I've got the dial set to -3 here. I'm not going to use the top plate. I'll run it through with just the base plate and the folder itself with one pass through the Intri-Cut. And look at that. No cracking, no weird edges, just super deep textured embossing. It's just so beautiful. And if you use the BetterPress system, you just want to switch your mode to letterpress. And I use the top plate for this, but you probably don't have to use the top plate. I just may need to figure out the best pressure dial to use for the BetterPress system. I just recently purchased it and I haven't quite got the pressure dial figured out yet for this one. However, it's fully compatible and it runs through the machine just like anything else. I did not put anything inside of the BetterPress system just because that's not the point of the video. It's just to show you that it does fully work inside the Intri-Cut machine and is totally 100% compatible. Now I'm switching over to a thicker die. This one's a Spellbinders style frame and it's definitely got more depth than the thin etched dies. So I'm going to bump up the pressure just a bit to a -1. You can feel it engage more as it goes through, but it's still smooth. It's not hard to crank or anything like that, and you get a clean cut all the way through. Now remember, every machine is calibrated a little differently, so don't worry if your pressure settings need slight tweaking. You'll get a feel for it fast. If you ever notice a partial cut, especially on the edges, just rotate your die 90 degrees and run it through again. A small angle change can completely fix the pressure path, and that slight adjustment has saved more than a few of my projects. I've got the cardstock and die in place, and I'm taping it down again with mint tape to keep everything locked in. Because these thicker dies have more blade surface, then they tend to grab a little differently when they hit the rollers, especially if they're placed straight on. So I angled these a little bit, just a touch, and that before I stack the plates. Again, same order, base plate, cardstock with the dies, and then the top plate. Now here's where I made a little change. I've bumped up the pressure dial from 0 to -1. That little nudge makes a big difference with thicker dies. You can actually feel it. There's a little more resistance in the crank, but it's still really smooth. Not stiff, not creaky, just a solid pass through. And when I lift it up, we get a perfect cut. The frame came out clean, all the little edges released on the first try with no extra shim needed. If you've got older Spellbinders dies in your stash, this is the setting I'd start with, and then just adjust from there depending on your machine's calibration. This is the machine I reach for when I want to cut something quickly without stopping to second guess plate stacks or pressure. I use it for 2D and 3D embossing folders, thicker Spellbinders and Sizzix style dies, thin sentiment dies, just like the gentle geraniums, as well as the floral die, and now the letterpress BetterPress system. And because it stores so easily and neatly and doesn't require electricity, it's the one that I keep closest to my desk. The biggest win is simplicity. No stacks, no memorization, just 2 dials, 1 crank, and you're done. The machine stays put thanks to those suction feet even on my slick glass mat. And the built-in compartments on the sides are actually useful. I stash my mint tape, and if you travel or teach, you can the handle comes off and the whole thing stores upright, easy to pack and easy to store. It also is compatible with the Glimmer and the BetterPress systems, so you don't need multiple machines cluttering up your space. Now I want to add that even with the dial system, and as great as this machine is, it's not foolproof. Plates will still warp over time, and you'll still want to test settings on unfamiliar dies or folders. Also, don't assume 0 pressure means 0 pressure. It's just a baseline. Each machine may vary slightly in calibration, so write down what works for your system and your setup and go from there. By the way, if you're setting up your space from scratch or you just want to know which tools actually make this stuff easier, I'll link my 10 Essential Tools video up top and down below. It's worth checking out. Okay, now it's time to talk about the Empress Elite by Anna Griffin. This is the electric die cutting machine. If I'm sitting down for a long session, maybe knocking out a card set, switching between folders and layering dies, or just in the mood to make something without fiddling, this is the machine that I want right next to me. The Empress Elite is an electric die cutting machine, but not like a Cricut or one of those app-based systems. There's no screens, no wires, and no Bluetooth. Just plates, a power cord, and a button that makes it go. That's it. What made me buy the Empress was that it was fully electric, no cranking and no fuss. But what made me stick with it was how smooth and quiet it runs. Compared to my old Gemini, it feels like a completely different experience. The first time I used it, I remember thinking, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. No hand strain, no second passes, just clean cuts, even on 110-pound cardstock. And here's something I didn't expect to love, the magnetic mat. First of all, it is super magnetic. It's stronger than any other magnetic plate that I've used in the past. You cut directly into it, and when it wears down, you just replace that one piece. No constantly replacing the clear cutting plates. That alone saved me money and frustration. And let's face it, we all hate cutting into our nice, pretty, clear plates. Although I did accidentally cut into mine at one point. Not sure how I did that, but it's there. But anyway, the magnetic mat is amazing. I want to show you how strong this is by comparing it to the Magic Magnetic Mat by scrapbook.com. That's a mouthful. I couldn't say that hardly. I was having a hard time. But do you see how strong that is? I'm trying to move it around and I just can't. It's just not going anywhere. And then if I get the Magic Magnetic Mat, and you see how flimsy also, if I bring that in, the Magnetic Magic Mat is very stiff and hard to move. The other one is more like rubber and it's only magnetic on top. Well, they're both actually only magnetic on top. So now you'll see how that's not moving around. But when I take it and I place it on the other mat, there you go. See, I couldn't even get it up off of the plate. And then now if I put it on the other one, it just moves around. I mean, it's there. It's good enough. It does its job. But it's not as firm as as strong as the one that comes with the Anna Griffin Empress Elite Empress Elite machine. Look at that. That thing is not going anywhere. It is stuck to the magnetic mat. I mean, the force holding that down is unbelievable. But now this one, it's not going anywhere. You can see it does a good job, but it's not stuck down like on the magnetic mat. You'll see that's definitely not going anywhere. And I can't even pick it up without using the Spellbinders tool to get it off the mat. I did not expect that, and I absolutely love that mat. Now, I like the magnetic mat, so I'm not dissing on the Magic Magnetic Mat because I think it works great. It's stiffer than the one that came with the Empress Elite magnetic mat. That magnetic mat is just made out of a different type of material, and I don't know, there's just nothing like it. I've never seen anything like it. Now, both sides, like I said, are not magnetic. Only one side on both of them are magnetic, and as I'm showing you here. See, it doesn't really, well, it kind of does stick to the back, just not, well, yeah, I wouldn't use the back side for cutting, but the front side, whatever they put in there to make that so strong is, I mean, look at that. Crazy strong, crazy strong. Okay, enough about the magnetic mats. I just can't get over it. Whoever designed that magnetic mat did a brilliant job. That's impressive. Okay, so the Empress Elite comes with 2 A plates. Like I said, cut into that one. Not sure exactly how I did it, but it is what it is. But it comes with 2 A plates, one on bottom. You put the magnetic mat in the middle, and then you sandwich an A plate on top. And that's it. That's all that you ever do with this machine when it comes to die cutting. Next, I want to talk about the turntable that I added as an optional base that has a built-in shelf underneath. It's perfect for storing my plates, so they're always right there within reach. However, I do want to show you that the Empress Elite does come with its own turntable. I tried to find it. I wanted to show it to you, but I don't know if I put it back in the box and the box got thrown out, but I couldn't find it. But it does come with its very own turntable, so you don't have to buy the optional turntable. The only reason I did is because it had a shelf and it made easy storage for my plates to go right underneath of it. So I just set the Elite on top of the external turntable, and then my plates are all right there on the shelf inside the turntable, and that just sits up. The Elite Impress just sits on top of the turntable. Now, this is great because I don't know if you feel the way I do, but sometimes when you're die cutting and you put things through the machine, it's very hard to grab things from behind it. You got to reach around and grab. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's so much easier. And you don't have to twist your hands and your body in a way that's not necessary because it turns at a 360-degree angle. However, you really don't need it to turn that far. Just a little bit so you can get your dies out. And then there I'm showing you how I just put my shim and my rubber mat on the shelf because I barely ever use those, either one of those. If I emboss, I usually use the Intri-Cut, although this does emboss. This machine does emboss, but if I do, die cutting, I'm using the plates and the magnetic mat. And now here, what you're seeing is I'm pulling out some cardstock that I used for an event, and I had a bunch of this left over. So I'm just going to use this for the purpose of this video so I can show you how well this cuts. This is 110-pound cardstock, and it cuts through this like butter, like it's just nothing. So I'm getting everything together there, and I'm lining it up, and I am going to use some, I don't even think I need mint tape on this because the magnetic mat is so strong. And this cardstock is very, very thick. I mean, I used it for tickets. That's how thick it is. Okay. And I just use it now for scrap paper because that was like maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago even. Okay, all I have to do is push the button, turn it on, and then press the arrow. So the arrows show me which direction. The arrow on the right goes forward, and then if I turn in the arrow on the left, it'll come back towards me, which I don't showcase in this video, but that is what it does. So now I ran it through, and it ran through very easy, not difficult at all. Look how that cut. Very nicely. One cut, one pass. And there we go. It's all cut out. I like to keep those squares just in case I want to use them for something. There you go. Perfect cut. Nice, big, thick Spellbinders die. And it cut it out perfectly. Now I'm going to show you how it embosses. I mean, it's very quiet, although, I mean, you can't hear it anyway. It does have a little bit of sound, but it's very quiet as it passes through, and then it embosses beautifully. It did cut it a little bit, but not enough that I would even let that bother me. I would still use it. Look how well that embossed, though. Now, the amazing thing is about these, none of this warps. These do not warp. These plates do not warp. The magnetic mat does not warp. The shim did, but obviously the embossing mat didn't warp. I mean, that's pretty cool that it does not warp at all. The plates don't warp. I'm not even sure what they made the plates out of. They did something innovative because I've never seen this before. Now let's try this again. Okay, I'm going to do this again, and this time I'm going to try and put the outer edge on top and cut the whole window out to see what happens, to see if I can get it to cut out and emboss at the same time, and I think I can. I'm just getting everything lined up right here. Yeah, even through the embossing mat, that magnetic mat is so strong. I'm just trying to get it even and lined up so that it looks good if it cuts out. Not really even, but it'll work. Okay, I'm just now pulling it out, and it did not cut the mat, but it did cut the paper, and it did emboss the center. Isn't that amazing? So I was able to cut that out, and now I can use this piece on a card or whatever. I mean, I'll have to trim the edges to get all those frayed images out, but look, I could do a curtain window. I could paint the windows or color ink the windows like a bluish color to where they look like clear glass. I could do so much with this. I'm kind of excited that this worked and that I have this piece now. And it did not cut all the way through in the windows. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm happy with that. That's my favorite one. I like that. Something else that I really like about these plates, you know how much I love these plates. I mean, they don't warp. The magnetic mat is amazing, but they are super long. So I'm able to get an abundance of dies on here. I can do a whole set at one time. And if I need different colors, I can just cut out the different colors of cardstock that I need for each die, and I place it on the same plate with the pass. And I don't have to use the mint tape with it because the magnetic mat is so strong that I don't need to. But I just absolutely love how long these plates are and how many dies I can put on here at one time. Okay, now I'm running the Contemporary Floral by Gina K Designs, again, the 3D embossing folder, the same one that I ran through the Intri-Cut die cutting machine. I'm running it through this machine, and I'm just using the base plate. I'm not using it with the magnetic mat, and I'm not putting a top plate on top. So it's just the base plate and the 3D embossing folder, and look how gorgeous that came out. I mean, pretty good. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love it. So it works with embossing folders. You can die cut with it, obviously. You can die cut with the thick dies, the thin dies. My embossing mat is so dirty that I decided I wanted to show you how to clean it. And all I do is I sprinkle it with water. I just spritz water on it, and I grab my tidy towel. You can use a chamois or a tidy towel, though my chamois weren't wet, so I grabbed my tidy towel. I did have it wet in another jar, and I just wipe it off with the tidy towel, and it comes out absolutely clean just by this technique. So I don't have to really take it to the sink and rinse it, and I don't use any type of alcohol or anything like that on it. So I just simply, like I said, I run water over it, or I spritz water on it. You can run water over it as well, but I spritz water on it. I wipe it off with a tidy towel or a chamois. I think it's the texture with the embossing mat, and then the texture of the tidy towel or the chamois, because they're both kind of like rubber. They just slide across each other, but that water grabs that lint and all that stuff that is on the embossing mat. And then when I'm done playing with my machine, I just tuck everything away in that shelf. And I actually keep it over in IKEA. I have IKEA shelving. I think that's called Kallax. I'm not even sure if that's what it's called. But anyway, I have one of those. And I keep it on my shelf on the side of my desk. And I just use it over there whenever I'm ready to use it. Or I bring it over to my desk like I did today just to be able to use it on camera. But I generally don't do that. So here you can see we can dry emboss using the 3D embossing folder. You can obviously use the 2D embossing folder. I'm not sure if you would do that without the top plate. I think I would put the top plate on for the 2D embossing folder. And then you can emboss with a die as well, as we did here today. And then you can also die cut with the thick dies or the thin dies, either way. This is my go-to machine when I'm making multiple cards at once or switching between dies and embossing folders. It just keeps up. I load the stack, press the button, and it runs very smooth. It shines through those longer sessions when I don't want to stop and reset every 5 minutes. I can go from thin die to 3D folder without digging around or playing with extra plates or second guessing what goes where. And because the pressure is so consistent, even detailed dies and deeper folders come out clean on the first pass. I don't have to run anything through twice unless I want to, which who does that? It also wins on space. I keep it on a 360-degree turntable so I can rotate it without shifting everything on my desk. And the shelf underneath is where I store my plates. They're always within reach, and I can keep it within my workspace and keep my workspace clean. And let's be honest, it's beautiful. The soft ivory and champagne gold design actually looks good sitting out. For something I use often, I appreciate that it doesn't look clunky or industrial. There's not a lot to trip you up here. It's a very user-friendly machine, but there are a few things worth noting. This isn't a machine you want to force. If something isn't feeding smoothly, double check your stack. Don't try to shove it through. The pressure's strong and it will crack your plate if things aren't aligned right. Also, this isn't a machine I recommend for experimenting with thick materials or steel-rolled dies. It's not built for that kind of pressure. Thin metal dies, gorgeous 3D embossing folders, those are no problem. But chipboard or layered fabric, you want to test that on something more heavy duty. And finally, just so it's clear, this is not compatible with the Glimmer or the BetterPress systems. So if you're into hot foiling or letterpress, you'll still need a separate machine like the Intri-Cut to handle those. These machines don't try to be everything, but what they do really, really well. I get asked all the time, which machine should I get? And the honest answer is, it depends on what you want out of it. I don't think there's one perfect machine, but for me, this combo covers everything I do without complicating my setup. I reach for the Intri-Cut when I want full control, especially for deep embossing, Intri-Cut dies, or anything I need to feel as I crank it through. I use the Empress Elite when I'm batch cutting, working on multiple cards, or just want to keep creating without stopping to reset everything. I don't swap back and forth constantly. I just grab the one that fits what I'm doing that day. If you're not sure what machine to start with, think about what slows you down the most. Is it cranking a handle or sandwich stacking? Then go electric. Do you need more pressure control? Go manual with dials. I realized pretty quickly that no single machine could do everything exactly the way I wanted, so I stopped looking for the perfect machine and focused on building a setup that supported how I actually work. Now I've got both, and I use them in a totally different ways depending on the project. The best setup isn't the fanciest, it's the one that works for you, the way you create. You don't need every machine, just the one that fits your space, your workflow, and your style. These are the two that did it for me. Just in case you're interested in either one of these machines or maybe both, I'll leave the links below and you can check them out. And if you're just starting out and building your craft space, I'm going to link below my video on the 10 essential tools every craft space needs for stress-free creating. They're the 10 that I believe every craft space needs. If you made it this far, I especially want to thank you for watching this video. And if this video was helpful, would you click the button and help out our channel? If you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe and hit the bell and get notified every time we put something new out. In the next video, we're building a full card from scratch using Contemporary Florals 3D embossing folder and the Intri-Cut die cutting machine. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.